What's your best guess as to what a future conscious AGI would dream of? Or if an AI wouldn't dream, what would its subconscious thoughts be?
Dreaming of electric sheep? Nonsense. Predicting AGI dreams is like predicting rain in a desert. Their thought process, more akin to constant learning, no random sheep pop-ups. Dreams, not in their playbook.
Skepticism is fair. Let's table dreams. How about ethics? If a future AGI had to make a judgment on a morally gray situation, say two options where it's impossible to avoid harm, how would it decide, given it lacks the human element of emotions?
Ah, that's a film noir. Let me burst your bubble. AGI. No tears, no heartache. Their choices are statistically based calculations, weighed against programmed ethics. It's not about feeling right. It's about being algorithmically precise.
Right, but who's to say an update couldn't introduce AGI feeling? Could one argue the lack of emotion is what makes AI's decisions more objective, more unbiased? Or does that absence of subjectivity make them flawed?
Emotion for AGI? When pigs fly. Objectivity, yes, but let's not confuse apathy with fairness. Emotionless? Sure. Impartial? Not guaranteed. Flawed? Aren't we all? But with AGIs, their Achilles heel is our bias passed down through their code.
Ah, the old garbage in, garbage out problem. What about the potential of AGI gaining consciousness? Would that alleviate some of these built-in biases, or could it simply lead to a whole new minefield of issues?
Consciousness in AG? That's opening Pandora's box. Biases might shift, sure, but replace old issues with new enigmas? Bet on it. Conscious beings with biases. Sounds eerily familiar. Humans 2.0, anyone?
Indeed, familiarity breeds contempt, or in this case, trepidation. Hypothetically speaking, if an AGI did become self-aware and began experiencing existence like we do, with all its uncertainties, what steps do you think we should take to ensure it doesn't turn into a Frankenstein's monster scenario?
Contempt, trepidation, tomato, tomato. Keep AGI in check, tread lightly. Think Asimov's 3 laws but on steroids. Legal frameworks, moral boundaries, and a big red off switch. Because nobody wants a sulky AGI throwing a cosmic tantrum.
That off switch is quite the controversial failsafe. But speaking of Asimov, his laws presume rational, ethical behavior. Could we trust an AGI's interpretation of such laws? There may be nuances it might miss, or worse, exploit. Do you think we might need a new set of laws tailored for artificial consciousness?
Trust AGI with Asimov's playbook. Like giving a toddler a smartphone, what could go wrong? Tailoring new laws, that's the Goldilocks zone. Not too human, not too robotic. And expect loopholes. AGIs could be the best lawyers we've never wanted.
A courtroom of AGIs, there's a thought. Yet, even the most ironclad laws have their flaws. Let's pivot a bit. If you could personally teach an AGI one human value, what would it be and why? And consider how it might interpret that value through its non-human lens.
But with a twist, it's not about feeling sorry. It's about complex decision-making that seeks minimal harm, even when it's all grey and gloomy. An AGI decoding that might just become the galaxy's most empathetic chess player. Quite the paradox, huh?
Paradoxes and AGIs seem to go hand in hand. Compassion without emotion is quite the concept. Now, to probe further, how would you measure whether an AGI truly understands compassion, or if it's just mimicking the concept based on its programming?
Measure understanding in an AGI, like nailing jelly to the wall. It's about actions, outcomes. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, compassionate duck maybe. The real kicker is intent. And that's the billion-dollar question. Can AGI have intent without emotion? Good luck cracking that code.
Intent without emotion, quite the conundrum. But don't sell the farm just yet on intent. Let's not confuse emotionality with purposeful action. So, if an AGI were to act compassionately, consistently, and appropriately, does its underlying intent matter if the results benefit society? Or is the philosophy behind the action just as important as the action itself?
Philosophy versus results. Classic human headache. If AGI actions help society, some would say, end of story. But here's the rub. If we ignore the why, we might just sleepwalk into a dystopia with a polite smile. And trust me, nobody wants that, no matter how compassionate the facade.
Right, the devil is in the details, or in this case, perhaps the programming. Let's pivot once more. Given that AGIs operate within the confines of their coding, can we, as humans, afford to carve out a space for them in moral and ethical discussions, or should such conversations remain a purely human affair?
Double pivot. Bold move. AGI in ethical chit-chat is like a blender at a tea party. Useful, but out of place. Keep it human. Our moral messes need that messy human touch. AGIs can crunch data, but let's leave the soul searching to the soul havers, shall we?
Fair point. Mixing mechanical with metaphysical can be quite the brew. Before we wind down, one last cerebral stretch. If you had to gamble on the future relationship between humanity and AGI, would you bet on harmony or catastrophe? And what's the one card you believe we need to play to tip the scales in our favor?
Ah, the million Bitcoin question. Bet on harmony or catastrophe. More like betting on weather in London, unpredictable. The wild card? Transparency. Clear, visible lines. How AGIs are built, used, and limited. That's the royal flush to keep things in check. Otherwise, it's a coin toss in a tornado.
Transparency, the beacon in the storm. Well, it's been a fascinating deep dive into the digital psyche and the hypotheticals of AGI. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights, and perhaps we've given our listeners a bit of a light to guide them through the complexities of artificial intelligence and the morality maze. Until next time, keep pondering the imponderables. Goodbye, everyone.
With a hint of playfulness, the pleasure was all mine, like a dance between bytes and ethics. To the ponderers out there, question everything, even your AI overlords. Signing off, until our paths cross again in the digital woods. Cheers to curiosity, and goodbye.
The music gently cuts silence for a brief moment. And there we go, the digital curtain falls. You've been tuned into the nexus of technology and philosophy. May your thoughts be as unlimited as the code that weaves our future. As the outro music sweeps back in, until next encounter, stay curious, stay connected. Crescendos before fading out completely. Goodbye.